Certainly. Here are 10 key points about liability insurance. Legal requirement. Liability insurance is typically required by law in most jurisdictions. It ensures that drivers can financially compensate for injuries or property damage they cause to others in an accident. Coverage types. Liability insurance includes two primary coverage types. A. Bodily injury liability. This coverage pays for the medical expenses, rehabilitation costs, and potential legal fees if you injure someone in an accident. B. Property damage liability. This coverage pays for the repair or replacement of property that you damage in an accident. Coverage limits. Liability insurance policies have coverage limits, which determine the maximum amount the insurance company will pay for injuries or property damage. It is important to select coverage limits that adequately protect your assets and meet any legal requirements. Third-party coverage. Liability insurance covers injuries and property damage to other parties involved in an accident that you are responsible for. It does not cover your own injuries or vehicle damage. Lawsuit protection. Liability insurance can provide legal defense if you are sued for an accident. The insurance company may hire an attorney to represent you and cover the associated legal costs. Mandatory minimums. Many jurisdictions have minimum coverage requirements for liability insurance. It is essential to know and comply with the specific limits mandated by law. Financial protection. Liability insurance provides financial protection by covering the costs of injuries, medical bills, property repairs, and legal expenses that may result from an accident you cause. Premiums. The cost of liability insurance is determined by factors such as your driving history, age, location, the type of vehicle, coverage limits, and deductibles. Insurance companies calculate premiums based on the risk factors associated with insuring you. Additional coverage. While liability insurance is the minimum requirement, you may also consider additional coverage options to enhance your protection, such as collision, comprehensive, or uninsured/underinsured motorist coverage. Comparing quotes. It is important to compare quotes from multiple insurance providers to find the best coverage and rates for your specific needs. Consider factors such as coverage limits, deductibles, customer reviews, and the reputation of the insurance company. Remember to review your policy documentation and consult with insurance professionals to fully understand the terms and conditions of your liability insurance coverage. Legal requirement. Liability insurance is typically required by law in most jurisdictions. Absolutely. Liability insurance is indeed typically required by law in most jurisdictions. Here are 10 key points about the legal requirement of liability insurance. Mandatory coverage. In many jurisdictions, liability insurance is a legal requirement for all drivers. The specific minimum coverage limits and requirements vary by jurisdiction, so it's important to know the laws in your area. Financial responsibility. The purpose of the legal requirement is to ensure that drivers have the financial means to cover the costs of injuries or property damage they may cause to others in an accident. Proof of insurance. Proof of liability insurance is often required when registering a vehicle or renewing a driver's license. This proof may come in the form of an insurance card or other documentation provided by your insurance company. Penalties for non-compliance. Failure to maintain the legally required liability insurance can result in penalties, such as fines, license suspension, vehicle impoundment, or even legal consequences. Verification. Insurance companies are often required to provide information to the relevant authorities to verify that drivers have the necessary liability insurance coverage. Minimum coverage limits. The law typically specifies the minimum coverage limits for liability insurance, which determine the maximum amount the insurance company will pay for injuries or property damage caused by the insured driver. Varied requirements. The specific requirements for liability insurance can vary by jurisdiction. Different areas may have different minimum coverage limits, coverage types, or additional requirements, such as uninsured motorist coverage. Exceptions. Some jurisdictions may have exceptions to the liability insurance requirement, such as for certain types of vehicles or specific situations. It's important to understand any applicable exceptions in your jurisdiction. Proof of financial responsibility. In some cases, liability insurance can be substituted with other forms of proof of financial responsibility, such as a bond or a cash deposit with the state. Compliance and responsibility. Adhering to the legal requirement for liability insurance is not only a legal obligation but also a responsibility to protect yourself and others on the road in the event of an accident. It is crucial to familiarize yourself with the specific liability insurance requirements in your jurisdiction and maintain the necessary coverage to comply with the law. Consulting with your insurance provider or local authorities can provide further guidance and ensure that you meet the legal requirements for liability insurance.